Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and the topic has come up for lifters and for general health since I did this DEXA scan of me looking at different things, talking to people who work at the DEXA scan places, what they see in different athletes and stuff when they look at shifts in body composition. Do I support the concept of doing cardio, particularly low intense cardio, as part of your cutting regimen or for losing body fat anymore? And the answer is no. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skill at my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And when I talk about this, we need to be context specific here. I'm not talking about the morbidly obese person. I'm not talking about pre-contest bodybuilders. Contest prep is a totally different animal. And it's outside of the context of my channel. I don't really promote bodybuilding. I'm not a fan of competitive bodybuilding. And it's completely different. And people need to understand a lot of times they're using a lot of drugs to help hold on to muscle mass, help burn fat, everything else. So for everyone else, what those guys are doing isn't really relevant. And a lot of them do successfully hold muscle while using a lot of LISS cardio to get ultra ripped. But there's drugs involved, and there's a lot of other factors involved. In my case, staying in the normal testosterone range, having done a nice slow steady cut this year and looking at how different things affected my own muscle retention, I'm of the opinion that cardio really shouldn't be part of a lifter's regimen during their weight loss phases. A lot of people are going to be like, wow, well that seems contrary to a lot of things because that means you're going to have to eat less calories. Yeah, it does. It means you're going to have to eat less calories. That's what it means. But what we need to look at here is that I'm not saying that cardio isn't useful. I'm not saying that athletes shouldn't be doing cardio. I'm not even saying lifters can't benefit from cardio. What I'm saying is cardio is problematic during weight loss phases if your goal is to maximize body composition. And that's all I'm saying. And I'll jump into that in a little bit more later in the video, but I think what people need to understand there is that what I'm saying is that cardio, like any other performance element that you are training for, needs to be in the environment to facilitate adaptation, right? Just like gaining muscle mass isn't something you're going to be able to successfully do. In a weight loss phase, a lot of the performance benefits of a lot of your conditioning work aren't going to be there if you're not in an environment where you can recover from them anyways. So what I'm saying is that maybe during your bulking phases or your maintenance phases, that's where you need to really work on your conditioning. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that during some of your bulking phases, when you're actively trying to gain weight, that might be the best time to work on your conditioning. Why? Because you can recover from it, because you can gain muscle successfully with the conditioning work, because you have the extra recovery of extra food, you have the caloric surplus, you're creating an anabolic environment. I think that's the best environment to gain your cardiovascular benefits. Furthermore, if we're going to talk about heart health and other stuff, when are you most concerned about heart health? Like when does your blood work and all your vitals and everything change negatively for a lifter? Usually during your bulking phases, when you're gaining weight. When you're putting on 10 or 15 or 20 pounds, that's when your lipids look bad. That's when your blood pressure and things can go up, right? That's what you're concerned about. So during those phases is probably when you're going to see the most health benefits to your cardio. And I know it's ironic because a lot of people think of, oh yeah, I'm going to do cardio to burn more calories. I'm going to do cardio to lose weight. No, you're doing cardio to improve your conditioning, to improve your endurance, to improve certain health markers. But you need that the most when you're gaining weight. Does it mean you're going to have to eat even more calories during a weight gain phase? Yes, absolutely. But realistically speaking, we live in a land of plenty. Most of us live in first world countries. Getting enough calories isn't a problem. That is absolutely not a problem. And I feel like I need to make a separate video on that of the guys who claim they can't eat enough to gain weight. That's its own set of problem. That's its own set of eating disorders. Something that needs to be discussed separately. But for most of us, we don't struggle to gain weight when we want to, right? We don't really struggle to gain weight. This is not a real problem for us. It's not something that's an issue. Oh, having to eat more to gain weight. Again, you're not eating the right foods if that's a problem for you. So in that context, I think cardio has its place during bulking. I think conditioning work has its place during all of that when we're looking for ideal conditioning, ideal performance, even ideal health, right? That's where its place is. Weight loss, we don't have the recovery and adaptation to deal with multiple training facets. At that point, oftentimes our goal becomes, can we retain as much muscle mass as we possibly can while stripping that body fat away, right? That's a big deal. That's a big part of it. And in my experience, I found that including cardio during phases of my weight loss, an hour or less a day, I lost muscle tissue, an unacceptable amount of lean mass. And then when I cut the cardio out and just focused on the lifting and staying within my maximum recoverable volume, what happened? I dropped 15 pounds with no net lean body mass loss, right? And I'm going to continue to do that and continue to lose body fat and get leaner over time. It worked really, really well. It was far more effective. So what I would suggest there is that during weight loss phases, rather than saying, hey, what activity can I do to burn more calories? That's where we need to be focused on, is my lifting efficient? Is my training efficient? Is my diet on point? That's where we start using various weight loss strategies, right? We start using different weight loss strategies so that we can keep our diet under control. That's where things like intermittent fasting come in handy. That's where things like saying, hey, maybe if I eat a little more protein, maybe a little less fat, or I pick foods that have a higher fiber content, maybe I need to replace some of my extra fat calories or some of my carb calories with some vegetables. Maybe I need to be looking at the satiety of my foods. Maybe I need to replace my rice with potatoes because they're more filling, or replace my rice with watermelon because it's more filling. Again, maybe I should have a fasted window in the morning. Maybe I should up my protein, right? More fiber, more protein. Caloric management. This is more important for weight loss, right? This is where your real weight loss is, because realistically, what ends up happening, you end up with a training stimulus that you have to recover from that takes away from your resistance training, the actual training that's going to make you hold on to muscle tissue. So what I would suggest is that you maximize your work capacity, you maximize your recovery, you maximize your muscle mass when you're bulking, because the more muscle you have, the more calories you can eat while losing weight. So what I would suggest is maybe the times when you're not gaining body fat, you build your work capacity, you train at higher training volumes, maximize your muscle mass, maximize your work capacity, maximize your recovery by working on your conditioning. Get as big and as conditioned as you possibly can so that you have a higher energy turnover, so that you have better recovery, everything else, so that when you scale some, you can scale some of that back a little bit, but still have a pretty high energy output, be strong, have a lot of muscle, so you burn more calories without needing the cardio. So then you just focus upon maintenance training that within your maximum recoverable volume at a high enough threshold to hold on to muscle tissue, and focus on getting your calories back under control, right? Diet adherence becomes more important than doing stuff like, well, can I burn a few more calories here or there? Because ultimately it's going to come down to, can you continue to train in a way that holds onto your muscle tissue? Can you eat enough protein to hold onto your muscle tissue? Can you recover from the training necessary to hold onto your muscle tissue? And can you stay at a caloric deficit? That's your fat loss strategy. That's what works. That's what works in the long term. It works really well. Then when you're ready to gain muscle again later, that's when you can do some more of your conditioning work. So you can say, okay, well, maybe I want to make sure my endurance is up, my heart health is up, all my other stuff is there. But really, you don't need to be doing all that during your weight loss phases. You're going to lose muscle if you're not really, really, really careful with the sort of conditioning work you do and how much you do of it. And you also have to look at it from the perspective of, am I taking away from my resistance training that's going to affect my body composition most ideally? So when we're splitting this stuff into different phases, this is the stuff that we really need to look at. And honestly, we do need to split this into different phases. Because truth be told, bulking followed by careful cutting still is going to put more muscle on you over the year than trying to maintain or do recomposition for most lifters, irrespective of what sport you're going into. Now, for a lot of people, they're going to have to time this stuff around their in-season and off-season if they compete in different sports. But you know what? That's just part of being a competitor in something. And for everyone who's not a competitor, this really isn't that big of a deal. You just need to look at it from this perspective of, this is the way I'm going to make the most gains. This is the way I'm going to gain the most muscle. This is how I'm going to hold on to it the most. And don't get caught up into quick fixes. Oh man, I want to lose weight faster, so let me just do more cardio. No, you need to take it slow. You need to work on diet adherence, and you need to work on your lifting, right? You need to be able to maintain your strength, your performance, your muscle mass. Then when you get leaner, you're going to be more athletic anyways. You're going to be leaner with the best body composition possible. Then you can go back and work on your conditioning and your endurance and all of these other things when you're eating enough food to recover from it. And yeah, it does require more discipline. It requires more discipline, but you know what? It ends up giving you better results in the long run. So yeah, my perspective on this has definitely changed, and this is the direction I've gone with it. And that's how I feel about it. It's based on my own experiences looking at DEXA scans and what's happened to my body depending upon what I'm doing. And I know a lot of other people who've noted similar things. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.